process piece in place. What we're talking about is what's going to happen prior to due process. And I don't mean that it isn't appropriate or that it isn't well done. I'm just saying that it is absent due process. And so for that reason, I can't go along with that. That's why the part about the mutual agreement in there, I think, holds up water for me.
Representative Vashon.
I appreciate what you're saying, and what I'm thinking in this process is what honestly would be most helpful to me is to bring back the people that manage these programs and hear what you have to say as we grapple between this, because I would really like to see us delivering.
Could we have one person? I know we've been on this for a while, but we're trying to craft out the finer points. I do think it's worthwhile. I see Representative Stuckey, and when she can chance to take Representative Vashon's question, then I'll go to you.
Sue Sharon, City of Lewiston. I'm the baby. I've only been doing it for 25 years. What we're trying to target here is the population that continually is committing fraud among the general assistance recipients, albeit a small population, but it's continual. So what we're trying to do is, on the 121st day, you just can't come back and get general assistance again. You've been bunking in with someone, you haven't been looking for employment, you haven't been doing anything to better yourself. And we know who these people are, it's continual. So if we put a monetary amount that you have to pay something, I don't know if it's going to be 4%, whatever it might be. The point is you have to pay something. You just can't come back on the 121st day and say, okay, here I am again.
Representative Stuckey.
Thank you, Senator. I just have to say that the due process thing is the place where I get hung up. And I'm not so concerned about the process when those of you that have been up here talking to us about it, because I think the amendment that Representative Heinzen brought forward, it gives you the power. We're before due process, and if you don't agree to the repayment plan, then there isn't any repayment plan. And the other thing I need to say about the keeping due process in the forefront of my head about it, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to vote for any of this, is that I'm not so concerned necessarily about the communities that are sitting here in the room. It's some of the other communities where there isn't I don't know what else to call it other than professionalism that I think you all demonstrate. I mean, there are stories, and I'm sure you've heard them, of things that, you know, people's experience who are not as conducted in not as fair-minded a way as I think you probably conduct your programs. And you know, it's a step for me, a reach for me, to put stuff in front of due process. Not because I mean, I think you guys can handle it. You can. What you're offered in this amendment is a tool, and it's a tool, I think, to do precisely what you want to do. And if you set up that agreement that says, I don't know, you know, it will be 4% a month, or 18% a month, or 100% in the next 2 months, whatever it is, that conversation is between you and the person you're working with. And if you guys can't come up with an agreement, then you don't have an agreement. The whole thing's moot. But I don't think I think we're giving you a lot of authority. And I'm reluctant to put into the statute the detail that I think is being proposed without the due process. And it's going to be very difficult for me. I'm there with what we put on the table before, but I think you have what you need to do what you say you want to do. If you don't think I'm going to be able to deliver at a level that's acceptable to you, then you and I don't have a payment agreement. And until I can convince you to find common ground with me, I don't have a payment agreement either. So it's in both of our interests, I think, to find that, negotiate that with ourselves. But in that negotiations, you have the final determination.
If I understand the language appropriately, the language is that the General Assistance Administrator, regardless of a fair hearing, if they find someone has committed fraud, is able to set up a payment arrangement with the person who has committed fraud. Okay? But it goes further to say that it would at least be 4% of the amount that they defrauded the municipality.
That's the second amendment.
I don't have a problem with the 4%, 3%, 2%, whatever it might be. I just want to be able to, if someone comes in and they've continually defrauded me and they come back on the 121st day and they have zero income, I can sit down with them and say, I'm sorry, you haven't done anything. And until we can come up with an actual payment arrangement where you can pay me X amount of dollars, it doesn't have to be 4%. I think if that's agreeable to all, I think we can all agree to that.
I think that's the representative's amendment.
So for us, whether it's 4%, we'd like to have some minimum threshold. 4% doesn't mean.
Senator, doesn't, I mean, the minimum, doesn't the minimum threshold, isn't that something that you wouldn't be comfortable leaving that to the GA Administer to determine in negotiation?
Well, so first of all, let me say, one of the things, so when we look at GA and what GA is a program designed for it's supposed to be a program for short-term acute needs. So even if we're talking about 4%, which I think is very generous, we're talking about a 2-year payback period. Even in that case, you're talking about people paying back over a 2-year period in order to use a program that is only supposed to be there for short-term acute needs. So ideally, it's a situation where even that has serious flaws. So someone is paying something back. There's a payment plan. Maybe it's they're using GA for 3 months. Well, after they're done using it for 3 months, what's the point? What incentive is there for them to continue paying it back? So even that, I think, is very, very generous.
Okay. There's an agreement is between two parties.
Well, the state is another party to this because the state is paying reimbursements to
Right.
the GA.
I see what you're doing.
So there are 3 parties to this. There's the municipality, there's the recipient, and there's the state. And we represent the state and the state taxpayers. Senator Haskell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer a friendly amendment to Representative Robinson to include that the agreement is in writing. If that's agreeable to you and to the seconder of the motion.
It's
then
agreeable
I'm
to
ready
me.
to move forward on a vote for this one.
That's an agreeable, friendly enough. If I could just speak to the second part.
Please,
No, I
please
think-
do, Representative Heinz.
Can I ask you, do you feel like you have the ability to sit down with someone and work out a reasonable plan with them? You can be as hard as you want to with not $1. You see the intent, not 50 cents a month.
Yes, I think we do, because we take each case separately. So if someone's going to come back to me after they've committed fraud continually and they haven't done anything, I'm going to say, okay, we need to come up with something and you need to pay me X amount of dollars. If someone comes back after the 121st day they've committed fraud, and let's say something dramatic has happened in their lives, all right, let's sit down. This month you don't have to pay me anything. I'll still give you some assistance, and let's work on something for next month. So I think we are really good at figuring out our clients, figuring out what's fair and what's reasonable.
Thank you, and I appreciate that flexibility, so I'm going to support the first friendly amendment.
Representative Head?
Thank you. Are you under the authority of the selectmen or the town manager?
Yes.
So anything you do has to be approved, in a written contract such as what we're talking about, may have to be approved by them.
No, if it's in state statute, it doesn't have to be approved by the administration.
You can do that on your own?
Yes.
Very good. Now, would you add in that, if failure to do this, we will prosecute? In your written agreement with these people, would you add that?
I think that would have to be in the...
I'm sure it would be a decision, but there's no, why am I paying it back? You already gave it to me. There's no repercussions if they don't, you know what I mean? We need to say something about
Well, they won't get it.
Well, they can't,
accountability.
they won't get any assistance.
Well, they won't get any assistance, but you won't get your money back. And it is fraud.
You can do that now, right?
Representative
But
Hammond?
we're giving them the choice not to do that.
Thank you. I was just curious, why it's such a specific number, why 4%? Why not 3, why not 5, why not 10? I was just curious, is that in line with another form of repayment that this is similar to, or?
Well, we were thinking that a 2-year time period would be a reasonable time period for which someone's making repayment. So 4% a month, you multiply that out, that's 2 years. So that was the thought process there.
No, it doesn't preclude it.
Because I don't have a particular issue with the specific number. It's probably $1,000, it's $40. It's not an insurmountable amount of money, or a receipt amount of money, it's the philosophy that they would get to. But I was just wondering why that specific number so that makes sense.
Representative Basham?
Just to be clear on this, is the incentive to pay back is that if you don't, you're not getting benefits again. That's the incentive, right there. Benefits are done. So,
I just, as long as benefits are being received, ideally, these programs, someone needs them in a short-term, acute way. If they receive it for a month, or 2 months, or 3 months, even when we're talking about, as I said, even when we're talking about 2-year payback period, well, after that 3 months, you still have a payment plan that lasts for an additional year and 9 months, and no incentive to, and that's a general assistance is being used in the way that we hope that it's used, which is in a short-term, acute way. So, I don't know how I'm going to vote on that. Representative Sanderson.
I understand the angst here, and I think Representative Vachon just hit the nail right on the head. If there's not a good faith effort to pay made, they just don't get any more benefits. The municipalities have that choice. They're going to be entering into a contract with these individuals. They're also it's their job to make sure that the municipal share of the GA benefit is used appropriately. Though I would like to see a time frame for which these fraudulently received benefits have been received. I think overall, we've come a long way in getting where we are. We're going to be having a written contract between the municipality and the recipient. That's something that they can have in their hands, something concrete. We've definitely created a framework where unless they do have this process in place, they do not get any more. The town is not required to just hand out more benefits at 120 days. We've given some folks some tools, and so I'm going to vote in favor of the motion, even though it doesn't quite go as far as I would like. But I really think we've gotten as far as we're going to get today. So that's where I am.
And I'll move the question.
All right.
Is there a second? Move the question? Move the question basically means end debate, end debate.
I don't think we need to take a motion.
All right. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. All those opposed?
Congratulations.
All right. We'll try to move quicker on these others. 10:35.
All right, I'm going to start talking. This bill limits to a maximum of 275 days every 5 years the general assistance benefits a person who does not have any dependents or who is capable of working may receive. Sponsor, that would be Senator Brakey, referred to, and I cannot say the acronym the same way as the department, my accent was screwed up. They would like the able-bodied definition. They want Senator Brakey would like the SNAP definition. LD 1035 includes capable of working, but it doesn't include the young language or the no dependents. The department support the concept of time limits and benefit programs. The opponents, you heard about the UNE study of people that are on general assistance for longer than 6 months. Poor health, homelessness, and difficult job prospects drove GA for that group, and 53% of the respondents had 3 or more adverse childhood experiences, and 92% of the group said they would have no place to live without GA. There is a small number of group of people in this category, but they could be made homeless. Other welfare programs will train professionals determining ability to work. Municipal GA administrators may not be able to do that, and municipalities would not be able to determine if applicants have used up the 275 days in another municipality. I don't know where you want to go with the capable of working. It's not the same as able-bodied, but the language that's in the bill is capable of working. The other thing, which I really should have put under drafting issues, actually more than that, be capable of working. So 4316A subsection 1 establishes that an applicant is ineligible for assistance for 120 days in all municipalities if without just cause the applicant refuses to search for employment, refuses to register for work, refuses to accept a suitable job offer, refuses to participate in training, educational rehab that would assist the applicant in securing employment, refuses to perform a job assigned under a municipal work program, or willfully performs a job underperformed, I think. Just cause is also defined in 4316A subsection 5 and includes, among others, reasonable and verifiable evidence of physical and so on. So the point is that is all just background information. I forgot where I was because you all kept me thinking about the last one for so long that I forgot what I was doing. So that is all background information. The just cause thing will come up in another bill. But anyway, so that is just all background information about how the current law is for those who are unable to work. I think I probably confused you because I confused myself. Anyway. I'm just going to stop now. There isn't. But, however, the point here really I'm just trying to make is that Senator Brakey talked about able-bodied, but that's actually kind of worse. Capable of that was why we had all the sort of background information about whether an applicant is unable to work. Is there all that just cause that is established in 4316A subsection 1 and then again in 4316 subsection 5. I can't watch it properly. Anyway, I'm just going to stop.
Okay.
That wasn't very helpful.
All right. Discussion. Anyone we'd like to hear from? Could we hear from one of the local? What's that? Could we hear very briefly from someone from one of the local public assistance?
Meager with the City of Auburn. I just want to identify a few numbers that Auburn has put together. And these are the numbers since we started using WellPack in September of 2009. Since then, we've had 7 families that have been on general assistance for more than 12 months, 12 months and more, okay? Compared to 23 individuals who have been on general assistance for more than 12 months. A number of those are pending disability, so they would not fall into this category. But a number of them also, a smaller number, are people that are able to work, but because of their attitude, or because of their history, or because of whatever, they just cannot get hired. And we have been supporting them. In fact, one of them has been on our rolls for 41 months, another one 32 months, another one 30 months, 29 months. So in hopes that this bill would kind of push them into accepting maybe a job that they are qualified for, but maybe they weren't thinking of getting prior to that, because a lot of them, they want to look in their field, or because of their history, they're not getting hired in those fields anymore. If even a simple field as a cashier, and then they went to or was charged with robbery or something, they're not going to get hired in that field again. So this bill, I'm hoping, would help push these individuals to look a little bit harder, a little bit quicker.
Representative Vashon?
Thank you, Don. In the work that you do with your general assistants, are you referring and coaching them through the career placement programs and?
Yes, we work very closely with the career centers. In fact, the Career Center has established programs specifically for general assistance applicants because of their low level, many of them, that they don't fit into their regular classes that they have for the general public. So they've specifically assigned us individuals, and it's mandatory that they attend these classes for resume, how to interview, where to look for jobs, these types of things. We also work closely with voc rehab, even if it's just questionable, if somebody may have a disability but has no documentation or whatever. So yes, we do work very closely with.
You follow with a couple more
Yeah, please
questions?
continue. I will say, just one thing. Getting this information is very, very helpful. I do think this might be one particular bill where people's minds are going to be mostly made up on this, and we might just be conscious of time, and maybe we'll get to moving it before too long. But Representative Vashon, please
Okay,
continue.
so quickly, do you think with this bill, this is that tool and that impetus just to move it on a little bit? And then my next question was, in your years of service, it's what, 25? You've come to know a lot of people, and in moving them through career placement, have they come back to you, and have you seen the success of what a little nudge may have done on them?
I don't have any statistics. Yes, some do get employed, and then things don't work out, and they do end up back into our office. But, I mean, they're a great benefit to us. However, there's still that group of individuals that no matter what you try to do or encourage them to do for themselves, they really need an extra nudge.
Do you declare them ineligible for assistance only between days for violating the rules?
Yes, if they violate.
But then they come back after
Yes.
121 and say,
Yes.
but you do that?
Yes.
Representative Gattine, and then.
Thank you very much. And what about workfare? Do the building require people to work?
Auburn does have work there, it's encouraged. And it's also, the individuals are, lots of them have not worked in many years. And so once they do work there and things work out, the supervisor that supervises them on work there will write them a reference letter so to help them get jobs. But sometimes even the work there doesn't work out. They have to be disqualified, and then they're back again.
But you can require people
Yes.
to do work there as
Yes.
a
If they're
requirement.
able-bodied,
Similar to
yes.
what, again, so similar to what, there seems to be an analogy here that people are making the SNAP, where, you know, the volunteer work, you can make people do work there.
Yes.
In order to participate, right?
Yes.
Representative Sanderson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make the motion that LD 1035 Lawton House.
Is there a second? Second by Representative Vashon, moved by Representative Sanderson, ought to pass on LD 1035. Discussion?
It's enough class community.
All right, ought to pass as amended. Discussion?
We have a corner.
Corner caucus? All right.
We're gonna be here late, I look like.
That's exactly what it's walking. We're on the same page.
I'm going to hold out for steak night at the,
Yeah, we're not
at
gonna
the
be
Texas
there.
Roadhouse.